This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Restrictions on burials lifted. Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie is advising that the restrictions on burials have been lifted. McKenzie says this is as a result of the revocation of orders under the Disaster Risk Management Act, which was withdrawn effective Friday. Subsequently, burials may now be held daily and there is no time limit for burials. Further, there is no restriction on the number of mourners, clergy, undertakers, and other persons attending a burial. I know that this will be a tremendous relief to families all over the country who want to say farewell to their deceased relatives in the traditional Jamaican way and in keeping with various denominational conventions, said McKenzie in a statement today. While this restriction is being lifted, I still want to urge everyone to act responsibly to reduce risk and safeguard your health, he added. Teens among 4 charged for Manchester murder. 3 teens are among 4 persons charged for the murder of 50-year-old O'Neill Francis in Greenville, Mandeville, Manchester. Charged are 19-year-old laborer Miguel Myers, 24-year-old Kirkland Antoine, otherwise called Ratty, 18-year-old welder Rajani Griffiths, and a 17-year-old boy, all of Greenville District in Manchester. The police report that about 9 p.m. on Saturday, March 12, an argument developed between Antoine and Francis when all 4 accused attacked him and chased after him. Antoine allegedly inflicted wounds to Francis's abdomen and robbed him of cash. The police say about 7 a.m. on Sunday, March 13, residents discovered the body of Francis in bushes with multiple stab wounds. The police were alerted, and upon their arrival, the scene was processed and the body removed to the morgue. All 4 persons were taken into custody and charged with the murder on Friday, March 18, following an investigation. Their court date is being finalized. Major fire devastates businesses in Mobay. Several business operators are now counting their losses following a major fire in Montego Bay, St. James early this morning. It is reported that sometime between 2 and 3, fire was seen coming from a building on River Bay Road. The blaze then spread to shops at the People's Arcade, which is located in front of the building. A warehouse and a woodwork shop were among properties at the arcade that were gutted. Firefighters were called in, who tackled the blaze for hours. The devastated operators are appealing for assistance. The losses are estimated to be in the millions. Opposition chides PM for gimmick fines against the ministers. Opposition spokesperson on justice, Donna Scott Motley, is chiding Prime Minister Andrew Holness for his handling of the 5 cabinet ministers who appeared to flaunt COVID-19 regulations while attending an entertainment event Tuesday night. The government has been facing backlash after the ministers were seen at the Alpha album launch of Jamaican sensation Shensia. Speaking in Parliament on Thursday, Holness indicated that the cabinet ministers have been ordered to donate $100,000 each to a charity or assist the Jamaicans currently before the courts for breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act. Some people were starstruck and forgot their senses. I believe they should be fined. And so Minister Olivia Grange, who is used to being among stars and kept her mask on, I am appointing you minister to collect $100,000 from every minister who was there and make a donation to a worthy charity, Holness said. The orders under the DRMA ended yesterday. Scott Motley is accusing Holness of indulging in a gimmick of purporting to impose a fine on his ministers, arguing that his action made a mockery of Jamaicans and shows gross disregard of the judicial process. She said that his actions has offended the sensibilities of Jamaicans, many of whom have been subjected to hefty fines or jail time for breaching COVID rules. For the Prime Minister to come to Parliament and joke about a matter that has inflicted serious injustice and harm on many lives shows blatant contempt and disregard for the people and the processes that governed them, Scott Motley said. She argued that the Prime Minister's remarks reflect a blatant double standard in law enforcement, further reinforcing the reality of the two Jamaicas. Scott Motley underscored that since the DRMA orders were introduced, the opposition called for the implementation of a ticketing system to set out standard, modest fines for breaches. This ticketing system was never implemented, and many Jamaicans had to endure disproportionate and oppressive punishment by the legal system, she charged. Scott Motley is calling for Holness to apologize publicly for his remarks, which she said have trivialized a serious matter affecting the rule of law and have left Jamaicans with a bitter taste in their mouths. American killed 6 others injured in Hanover crash. The body of an American man was cut in half and 6 others seriously injured in a motor vehicle crash along the Point Hill Main Road leading to Hopewell in Hanover on Friday afternoon. The deceased has been identified as James Martinez of a Georgia address in the United States. It is reported that about 4:45 p.m., Martinez and 2 other Americans were traveling westerly in a Toyota Crown motor car. On reaching a section of the Point Hill Main Road, Martinez reportedly lost the control of the vehicle and crashed into a blue Isuzu motor truck which was traveling in the opposite direction. Martinez died on the spot. The 2 other Americans and the 4 occupants of the motor truck, including the driver, were rushed to the hospital where they were admitted in serious condition. Holness warns the diaspora not to send their guns home. With the high levels of gun crimes plaguing Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has sounded a warning to Jamaicans overseas who send their guns back home. He also took aim at the so-called shotters and their girlfriends and mothers who hang around them to encourage these persons to give up their weapons. I have a word to all those overseas sending back guns to Jamaica in barrels and TVs. Stop it. We will find you. You mean us no good. Can't say me never warn you, said Holness, referencing the popular song by Anthony Red Rose. The Prime Minister directed his warning especially to young men who hide weapons, sell, rent, or become couriers for them. The trigger pullers who use them, the shotters. I am sending a message to those who hang around the gunmen, the girlfriends, baby mothers, sisters, and mothers who give them cover and protection. Give up the gun. Holness declared that the security forces have redoubled their efforts and will find illegal guns. He said the consequences for those connected with these illegal firearms will be grim. A joint select committee of Parliament is now reviewing the Firearms Act 2022. The bill contains provisions for persons who possess or trade in illegal weapons to serve up to life imprisonment or a minimum mandatory sentence of 15 years in prison. He urged the mothers and the family members of young men who have illegal guns to warn them and help them to give up the weapons. Holness said that Jamaica recorded 967 major crimes from January 1 to March 14, an 11% reduction over the corresponding period last year, but also the lowest incidence of major crime since 2010. He said that there were 292 murders from the start of the year to March 14, a 5.2% decline when compared to the corresponding period in 2021. There were 222 incidents of shooting over the period under review, compared with 274 for the similar period in 2021. This represents a 19% decline. The security forces have seized 196 firearms up to March 14, representing an overall increase of 26% over the corresponding period last year. Pending rise in electricity rates unavoidable, says Paulwell. Opposition Shadow Minister of Mining and Energy, Philip Paulwell, has said any plans by the Jamaica Public Service Company to increase the cost of light bills at this time is unavoidable. However, Paulwell, who was part of the People's National Party administration in 2015 that established a special consumption tax of $7 on fuel, said the Andrew Holness-led government has the power to cushion in a realistic way the impact of the sharp increases in oil and energy. He warned that with oil prices now soaring due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it is quite likely that the price of oil is going to reach well over $150 per barrel soon. The fact is, fuel by their license and by the regulations is a pass-through from JPS to their customers, so I don't think that can be prevented, but the government can act to reduce the GCT component and some of the tax elements in the fuel so that it can become less burdensome, Paulwell said. It is absolutely necessary that a strong signal be sent to the Jamaican consumer that there is a high level of care on the part of the government, because we are going to reach that breaking point where people can't take it anymore, the opposition energy spokesman warned. He was responding to questions from the news over a statement by JPS in which it expressed a concern for its vulnerable customers in the face of increasing fuel prices on the world market. The country's light and power company, in a media release last week, threatened to increase its prices on the basis of rising oil costs. JPS has also called for a national response to the global crisis, even as it warned that the rising fuel prices will affect its customers. The war in Ukraine means fuel is much more expensive and there is less of it, explained JPS's chief financial officer, Vernon Douglas, in the statement to the media. The prices of both oil and natural gas have increased since last year. They will increase much more now. A higher fuel cost means higher electricity cost. We have to pay more to the fuel suppliers. We have no choice. Fuel makes up about half of customers' electricity bills, so the charges from one month to the next can be quite significant, he said. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.